As your church grows in attendance as well as social media following, it can get harder and harder to remember what you're posting on each social media platform, especially with how many of them there are these days, and it can even be hard to remember exactly when you're posting to each platform. So today I'm going to show you an online tool that lets you keep track of all your social media postings, what the content is, when you're posting it, and even link those together with which platforms and provide some details on how often you want to post on each platform. The way that we're going to accomplish that is through a platform called Notion. Now, if you haven't heard of Notion, that's totally fine. I'm going to walk through everything and exactly what you need to know today, but I would highly suggest digging into it. They have a ton of really good tutorials online, and it's just a really, really useful platform for individual creators, for organizations, including churches, tons of other uses. So when you go to the website, this is what you're going to see. All you have to do is log in or get Notion for free. And I already have it, but I made another workspace that we're going to start with today. So once you get Notion, this is exactly what it's going to look like. It's going to have a little getting started page and then a couple other notes over here. And you can even look at some of their templates. They have a lot of templates that you can get started with quickly. What we're going to do is add a new page, and this is going to be called just social media. Awesome. And then I'm just going to add a phone icon that you can customize these pages however much you want. At the basic level, Notion is just built up of a bunch of pages, and the only other real building block that they have is databases, and databases are just a collection of pages. So what we're going to do today is build two different databases. One is a database of your social media platforms, and then the other database is a database of your social media posts. And then there's some key properties in here that allow us to link those two together and actually connect the posts to the platform that they're going to. And so that'll make a little more sense later on, but I thought I'd give a good overview of the structure of what we're going to be doing today. So inside our social media page, the first thing I would suggest is going over to these options on the right and actually making this a full width page. And that's just going to give us a lot more room to work with in here. Like I said, we're going to start off by making a platform database. So I'm just going to use the / command and type table. And now we don't want a simple table. What we want is a table view of a database. So I'm going to click on that, and then you can see it already has a couple databases in. These are just pulled from your databases on the left that it comes with. So I'm going to go ahead and make one called social platforms and just hit new database. Perfect. And then these are just pre-filled in. They're completely empty. And then it always adds the tags property in here. So I'm just going to click on that and delete it. But say we want to do Instagram, let's do YouTube, Facebook, and then maybe one more like Vimeo or something. Now, something that I like to do that's a great feature in Notion is I can actually upload custom icons. So I can actually upload the Instagram logo to show up on here, and it's just so much easier for me to visually see the icon of the platform. I feel like that's what my brain looks for first. And I actually have these all exported into a folder. There's a certain size they recommend, so I've already resized these to be the recommended size. So I'm just going to click on Instagram and hit OK. Cool, and then we just have the Instagram logo there. I'm just going to do the same for the rest of these platforms we have. Great, so I've got our social media icons in, but the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change. So over in our options, there's a ton of options you have here. I'm actually going to change our layout from table to gallery, and then change our card size to small. Cool, and I think that just gives us a better layout to see our platforms and little icons instead of a table layout. Now, one other property that I want to add in here, I'll do it in Instagram, is a posting schedule, and that's just going to be a text. So I'm just going to type posting schedule and then add. So for this, maybe Instagram, I want to post Fridays at 1 p.m. And then I can go over to our properties and show the posting schedule on our gallery view. So when I click that, it'll show up on our gallery view here, and I can quickly see like when we're posting on Instagram and how often and what days even. And then another thing I added is a URL property. And then maybe this is instagram.com/overflow creative, which is mine. So that way, whenever I click on that, it'll take me right to our profile. You can even add a handle property. And maybe for this, it's overflow.creative. I just kind of use this as a reference database, if that makes sense. So whenever I need to remember what my Instagram handle is, if I just want to go in and copy it instead of typing it out, you can do that. And just keeping, Instagram notes and things like that. This is basically an entire page. You can put in notes, anything you want in. So again, this database is just made up of different pages, which we've turned into social platforms. So the next one that we're going to make is a posts database. So I'm just going to click at the bottom of the page down here and do slash. For here, let's start with a calendar view. And this is going to be social posts for the data source. And that's going to be a new database. Awesome. And then we just have this calendar that we get to fill with social media posts. What I can do is just add an item right here. And maybe this is a podcast, reel, something like that. Could be a reel from a YouTube video. And then again, it adds a tags field. So I'm going to delete the tags field. And then it added in a date field. That's because we started with a calendar field. So we need a date field to determine which day it goes on this calendar. But there's actually a few properties I'm going to add in here. And we can actually add them from another menu. So if I go into the options, go into properties, you can see all your properties, what you have, and you can actually show or hide them in this specific view that you're on. So if I show the date, it'll just show it right there and you can easily toggle it on or off. So right now I'm gonna hit a new property and I'm gonna add a status, just leave it as status, not started. I like to change this to idea. So just a thought that you have, like if it's an idea, like, hey, maybe we could post, this could be a cool social media post. Like that's where I would throw that in just as an idea. And I'll utilize that a little more later when we make a table view for this database. And then there's a few other statuses that I like to make here. In progress, idea, and done is just the default, and those can work pretty well. But since these are social media posts and there are a few more steps in this process, I'm going to go ahead and make those. So I like one of these to be scheduled, in progress, and then ready to post. And then last one, I'm going to change done to just be posted. Cool. And then I'm going to move ready to post down there. Scheduled is fine. And then maybe just change the color of these. So generally the idea is just if you have a social media idea, something you want to write down quick and just keep track of for later. In progress for me is like maybe it's a graphic or a carousel post that I'm like designing and actually working on, or even planning out if I have some thoughts and I'm writing them down in a page. That's going to be in progress. And scheduled is like maybe a post that's still in progress, but it's already been scheduled for a certain day. So you know you don't need to schedule it. You can also add another one here if you want, like ready to schedule, meaning that's done. It just needs to be placed on the calendar. So I'll move that down here. And then ready to post. For me is something that's been like scheduled, it's done, and it's just waiting until the day comes when we post it. So that's pretty much done. Like don't have to worry about that. And then I'll get into later how we can create reminders that'll actually send a Notion reminder to your phone or to your computer to remind you to post. So the next thing that we're going to go over is I'm going to go back into our properties panel and make another new property. And this is going to be a relation. So this is basically going to relate pages or posts in this database into another database. And in this case, we're going to relate this database to our social platforms that's right above it up here. So we'll relate it, click on social platforms, and I'm just going to rename this to platform and hit OK. And then I'm going to hit show on social platforms. So it's basically going to complete the circle. So it's going to show those posts on each platform, which is cool. So then when I click on Instagram, it's going to show all the posts that I have listed for Instagram. So the rest of that looks good. I'm just going to hit add relation. And then I'm going to show the platform on this calendar view because I want to quickly see if it's an Instagram post or a YouTube video. And then I'm going to add another property, another relation. And this is just personally what I like to do. And I'm actually relate it to the same database in social posts. So then I'm just going to call this related posts. And that's basically if I have a YouTube video and I want to make an Instagram reel off of that YouTube video, then I want to relate that and kind of link those two posts together so I know that they're connected in some way. That's all that is. So we can close that panel out. And then we can see in here, if I click on this, now I have a platform that I can add Instagram and YouTube. Maybe it's like a YouTube short and an Instagram reel. So we can have both platforms in there. And then you can have tons of details. You can do a bunch of slash commands. So if I just type H1 and a heading, maybe the title is like the sermon title. And then you just want to add details in here. You can insert images. You can link YouTube videos, just tons of options. You can outline your entire post within this page, which I do constantly. All my social media posts are basically completely outlined within here. And then another really, really good feature of Notion that just allows so much flexibility is I can add multiple views up at the top. So say I want to add one more view called a table, and I'll just call this status and hit done. And then I'm going to go back to the options here and group by status. So essentially that's going to just have us move through the different stages of the social media post status. So we have our podcast reel. Maybe I have one in progress, which is a Sunday recap carousel. And that's going to be posted to Instagram and Facebook. And maybe we want to post that tomorrow, which is Monday. And then if I go back to our calendar, we can easily see tomorrow, Monday, here's our Sunday recap carousel that's going to be posted. It's in progress. Awesome. And I just love the calendar view. I think it's perfect for exactly this use because I can easily look just across the whole week what we have posting. And I can easily add another post to this same day by either clicking the plus button, or I can just double click in this white space on any day. And maybe this is the Sunday message. I need to post on YouTube. Status is maybe in progress. Maybe we're editing it. And then if I wanted, even once I post it, I can link a video and actually embed a YouTube video by just pasting the link, so we can always go back and see when the Sunday messages are. It's completely up to you. I can even duplicate our calendar view here and call this maybe unfinished, which is what I use for my social media posts. And we have these two options up here to either filter or sort. So maybe if I want to filter this by status, I can say the status is not complete. And that way, any of these, say once the Sunday message is posted, it's complete and done. Then if I click out of here, you can see now it's disappeared. So if I switch between these two calendar views, this one's just a normal calendar view, and then the unfinished view is still a calendar, but it's now filtered by all of our social posts that haven't been posted. We pretty much have our whole thing set up. One last thing I want to show, which is another really powerful Notion feature, is utilizing templates. So over in the new, we can always click this new button just to make a new page, but there's a drop down next to the new button that allows us to actually make templates. And this is super useful. I use this mainly just for YouTube videos because there's so much that goes into YouTube videos. I have an outline, I have a script, I have some general tasks that I want to do for each video, like make a thumbnail. So I'm going to make a new YouTube video. And obviously this is going to be on YouTube. And the date I want to leave empty because if I put a date in here, it's going to automatically use that same date every time, and we don't want to always be on one specific date. So I'm going to leave that empty. I'm going to say idea. You could always change this to in progress. And then here I can use slash and make a to-do list. And so maybe I want to make sure I make my thumbnail and do analyze the analytics after it's published. And then maybe I want to make a new heading and do like an outline with a bullet format. And then down here, I want to do a script. So that's a basic outline of a YouTube video. That's kind of how I would lay it out. And you can obviously completely customize that, add more options, and there's a ton of editable templates already built into Notion that you can use or download from other creators online. So that's pretty quick. And then whenever you want to make that, all you have to do is hit the drop down, click on YouTube video, and it just pulls in, auto populates, and then maybe we want to post that Wednesday. Now, one of the last things I want to cover with this is getting reminders. I mentioned you can actually use Notion and use this entire workflow to get reminders of when it's time to post so you don't forget anything. I know especially working at a church. We're often posting on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and even a few other platforms like the app and things like that, even in the same day. So it can be really easy to just lose track of things. So let me use this YouTube video that we just created from our template as an example. So I'm going to go into the date. There's a few different ways to do this, so I'm going to show you a few of them, and you'll just have to evaluate what's the easiest for you. You can already see there's a remind option, and I think they have some great presets here, honestly. So on the day of at 9 a.m., if you just want to get a reminder on this exact date at 9 a.m., or even one day before. So often I'll use 2 days before or 1 day before for YouTube videos because I know I want to start creating those a few days ahead of time. And so the 2 days before is perfect for that, and it'll just turn blue. And for this reason, I suggest downloading Notion on your phone so you can get notifications whenever and not have to open up your computer and then see that you missed something. But usually what I like to do instead of this, I'll remove this reminder and actually include the time. So that way we actually have time built into our date field up here. So if I click off of that, and then let me come into here and actually show the date on this view, you can actually see that it shows the time there. So if you even want to schedule out the time of day that you want to post that, it's super easy to see that, and it'll automatically go in that order. So just an example, I'll drag this to this day and set this time to be maybe 3 p.m. and hit OK. And then our YouTube video, maybe we want to post that at like 1 p.m. Then it'll automatically be in order of earliest to latest on that specific day. And then again, we can go in here and see the remind, and you can see now we have tons more options of when we want to be reminded. So often for YouTube, maybe I want to start uploading a little before that. So maybe 15 minutes before. And Instagram is a little looser in my definition. So for this, I'll often just do at the time of the event, and it'll send you a reminder almost exactly at 3. It's not usually exactly on the dot, but it's pretty close, and it sends you a reminder. Sunday recap carousel, and especially if you have all the info already in the page, you can click that notification on your phone. It'll jump right to this page, and all you have to do is copy and paste right into Instagram. And along those lines, if you store post information in Dropbox or Google Drive or something like that, you can add another URL property and call it like files or something like that. And then whenever it's done or ready to post, you can actually paste the link to those files. So again, if you're on your phone, comes time to post, all you have to do is click on the notification, click on the link to these files, download them and post them. It's really efficient, really easy way to get social media posts out really quickly. Now there's one final way to make reminders, and I actually really love how Notion has implemented these reminders in their platform because it's really simple. It's not overcomplicated. They don't give you a ton of options on when you can be reminded, but I like that. I like that I can pretty much put any time and then I can just leave it to remind me at that exact time of the event, or I can give myself a good buffer or do a few days before. So I love that they've just simplified it. It's not overcomplicated, pretty easy to keep track of, but there's one final way that you can get reminders in a little more specific fashion. So I'll show you back in our YouTube task. So maybe for the thumbnail, I know I want to make that before we post, obviously, or even around the same time. So say we're posting our YouTube video at 1 p.m., then maybe I want to make the thumbnail by 12:30. Then all I have to do is I'll do at remind August 9th and then 12:30 p.m. And then you can see it already popped up, remind next Wednesday, 12:30 p.m. So I'll just hit enter and then boom, it's turned blue. So I have a reminder set for next Wednesday, 12:30 p.m., 30 minutes before our YouTube video is scheduled to post. So this is awesome. I love how they've implemented reminders. It's not overcomplicated. It's really simple, but they also allow you to make really flexible reminders, even in specific points here. So obviously I can do a reminder down here. For the script, if I want to write the script, I can do it right next to the script. Anything like that is as many reminders as you want, and it'll actually take you right to that page. And the good thing about this is when you get reminded about, say this one tomorrow morning, it'll actually say reminder in script for YouTube video. So it doesn't just remind you about the whole task. It mentions the the line that it's on per se. So it's actually really helpful and really useful. I use this feature a lot. Well, that's about it. That's all I wanted to cover in this video. I really hope this was helpful. This is how I personally schedule all my social media posts within Notion, and I think it would really be helpful for churches and even larger organizations to start implementing these kind of strategies and just making the social media process a lot more efficient and streamlined. I think that's really the goal, is we just want to get the information disseminated out into our audience or our congregation as quickly as possible. For the same reason, I'm going to upload this template on my website that you can download for free. So if you're interested in that, just visit overflowcreative.net/downloads, and I'll provide you this entire template. It's exactly what I use to plan all of my social media, and then you can duplicate that into your Notion workspace and completely customize it for however you need to use. And hopefully this guide just serves as kind of a walkthrough, so you can download that, customize it, and then if you ever need any extra help, just revisit this guide to see the full fleshed out version of how I created it. But man, I hope that was helpful. If you got any suggestions for future videos or anything you'd like to see, please let me know. Let me know if you have any suggestions or comments down below, and I'll see you next time.